What's up, everybody? We are back with some modern action. This time it's going to be Eldrazi Tron versus Twiddle Storm. Another new deck on the channel. We'll be featuring a couple of times. Well, Tron's been on here before, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. We got a lot of cool content in the works. Of course, we did have our big interview with MTG Nerd Girl. We talked about it in the last stuff on Monday, but if you haven't seen it, you check it out. We also have another fun adventure happening with stream stuff this Saturday. You guys can of course see links down below in the description for the stream information, but it's twitch.tv/therealNanMan. We'll see if we do the dual stream. We'll see how it goes. But we are a member of the MTG Creator Program, and we will be playing a Legacy event as members of that this Saturday around noon. So it should be really exciting. As you might imagine, I'm going to be rocking Infect. So you guys can check that out there. We'll probably post up some VODs of that as well on the channel in the future. But let's talk about this match here. We've got Eldrazi Tron versus Twiddle Storm. Now, this is a twist, if you will, on the Twiddle Storm. A lot of these Twiddle Storm variants have been using a red-green variant. Basically, you get access to things like Underworld Breach. Usually your lines are cast things like Twiddle, Hidden Strings, Dreamer's Grip, Vizier of Tumbling Sands, like these untap effects, and you just draw through your whole deck using the One Ring, and then you're able to cast something like Thassa's Oracle and win. This is a twist on it, going for the blue-green because you get access to our lovely little lands here. You get access to a Boreal Grazer to ramp out. Like, there's some pretty good ones. Shifting Woodlands is really good of being able to just kind of have that resilience as the game progresses. But this is a really annoying card. This is almost like the old school stock list of artifacts as the Eldrazi Tron list. We've been seeing a lot of the Eldrazi ramp at the shop, so it's been a little bit since we've seen the Eldrazi Tron list. But Trinisphere is out basically saying, hey, you're a deck full of cantrips and 1 mana spells. What if those now cost 3 mana? How well are you going to be able to handle that? Which is a really powerful and hateful card. And, you know, you're probably not running any Force of Vigors or anything main board here. It's likely that there's some in the sideboard, but now you're in this weird spot of, okay, you missed a land drop now, which, again, the goal of the deck is to try to set themselves up to cast the One Ring. That's not happening. So now we're kind of in this awkward spot here. And plus, like, even like a Hidden Strings effect, we're not dealing any damage to like get it twice. So like all the cantrips we want, not really available here. So, you know, have you been playing or seen Twiddle Storm? It's definitely popping up online. I'm not sure how your guys' shops are faring with it. Mindstone coming up here. So again, we're just kind of all ramp all the time for the Tron list because they can afford to just kind of slowly progress. So we're going to do a cycling of Vizier here, so we'll be able to draw a card and then, of course, untap target permanent when we get to cycle it. It doesn't make too much of a difference what we're untapping because we're going to go to our untap step, and we can't get away with doing some other cantrippy stuff here. And we'll do a little an additional cycle there, another untap, hoping to find that 4th land. No 4th land, which is really tough. So we'll pop our first map here for Eldrazi Tron player here. This is kind of the, like we said, more traditional, but you notice there is that like random swamp that's in here, which is like a lot of times you'll see some of the Tron's lists running green, but we get access to a couple of powerful black spells. So I like it. All right, where are we going from here? Oh, we got a One Ring in hand. That's nice. We already used one of our maps. Of course, our Eldrazi Monument up there, or Ugin's land that we've got, is going to be very useful, very helpful. There's the One Ring. Bam. Trigger, we get protection, of course. Now we're kind of really set up. So Ugin's Labyrinth does have a card imprinted on it. But it's just sitting in that exile zone. You could see it there, not underneath of it. A lot of players will do that underneath thing. Whoa! Flinging the Arboreal Grazer. Missed another land drop, and that was what? 3, 4, maybe 5 draws without getting another land drop, which, you run the blue-green version because of the additional effects like Grazer and ramp stuff, but not getting them really, really hurt there. So now we're kind of in this. Let's go into sideboard mode and see what we can be able to find here. Knowing full well of all the artifact hate, the Trinisphere, stuff like that. Are there any cards that we've got to bring in? I'm not sure if there are any Force of Vigors, but I feel if I'm running green, I always like to have a 1 or 2 Force of Vigor in my board, because you never know when you're going to run into some really scary stuff that you're going to need them, and it's a really good card. But when you're kind of just playing a combo deck, you have less flexibility in what you can do. So, all right, here's another reason to run the green, right, for the Twiddle list, is to be able to run the Ancient Stirrings. You can be able to find a land. We can be able to find the 1 ring off it. It's like, pretty strong, pretty powerful. But you also have to think, is you're running a lot of cantripy stuff. So let's see what we get here. Shifting Woodlands is a great one. All right, we've got a Devourer of Destiny effect taking place. Reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, beginning of your first upkeep, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You get to put one of those cards back on top. So we are going to be resolving this effect now. Which is so interesting to see, just like how dominated the variations of Tron are from the new Eldrazi's that have been printed. We will see what we end up being able to establish here. Are we just going to be able to land like a Chalice of the Void or a Trinisphere to really kind of shut down our opponent? There's the imprinting here, so we get 2 mana. Ooh, Stonebrain. This card's so good. Oftentimes you'll see a Karn effect, go and grab it, and we say land, go. No way to interact with the Stonebrain here. So you might be wondering, what are you grabbing? How do you fight this deck? I mean, the 1 ring is one way to go about it, but there is another card within here that is scarier for us to be able to fight. Especially like post board, we don't know how much they adjust and change their list up, but there's a specific land that we're worried about here. And Lotus Field is going to be that target there. So that is going to be the strip away. We're going to go digging and looking and searching for all the copies of Lotus Field in the deck. And this is also great to be able to go through and we get to see the full breakdown exactly of what the list is looking for. So you see, like, there's the Karns in there, there's the Pithing Needles in here, amulets in here. So it's kind of like this weird hybrid amulet / Twiddle Storm list. I'm still listing it as Twiddle Storm because of the specific cantrips in here. But if you are looking at this list and you're like, it's more of a amulet twiddle, like what name should it be going by? But that's kind of, I don't know. It's one of those very weird ones, right?
Oh yeah, because there is like 1+.
All right, let's see. We got our 3rd land though. Ugh, double map, just like last time. There's the Trinisphere. Oh, that hurts again. Again, players have to cast anything that costs less than 3 costs 3 mana. It's not like adding on to it. It's basically just saying, here's your new costing and casting costs for your spells. Surveil Land's nice. Let's go get some information. I need to get more. I keep seeing it, like, every time I see him on camera, I'm like, oh, My modern decks all have them now, but I've got other decks like commander decks could use some. I also have my cube that doesn't have them in them yet, so I'm like, dang, I really need to get more. All right, land go. No one ring. Oh, okay. I lied. There's the one ring, but it's for our Eldrazi player. So they'll start drawing some cards. So let's keep track of like that's kind of our main thing. Pretty much every game featured on the channel now features the one ring. But let's try to keep track of how many cards are drawn, or make some predictions down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of how many cards will the one ring actually draw this time. I mean, we saw a game that it drew like 21 cards at one point, so it's some of these one rings are getting out of hand fast. I don't know. Where are you feeling? How are you feeling about it? Do you want it gone altogether? Just get it out of Modern? Do you want to see a one of for it? I'm personally on that kick of I want to see the one of. All right, give me the one of. We haven't had a limited to one of in a long time. I think it would be awesome to do specifically for Modern. You know, we pretty much only see limiteds to one of in like Vintage nowadays, so it's like, I don't know. If you're gonna keep printing powerful cards, give us some options to deal with them other than just banning outright. Let's do some testing with it, and if it's still a problem after that, then cool. But I don't feel like it's gonna be as much of a problem as the chaining one rings together. Like, there's one thing to say about, oh, I drew 20 cards with a one ring over and over again, and you know, we were able to eventually find our second one to cast, and it was all fine. Vizier of Tumbling Sands, hard casting this time, not cycling, so does have that little bit of an untap effect. Untap another target permanent. That means lands, that means artifacts, creatures, whatever. We're going to continue to draw some cards here, though. So that's our third card drawn with our one ring. Almost got Tron assembled. We do have the map, so we will have it available next turn if we wanted to, depending on how the turn goes. We got access to 5 mana at the moment. So that's another thing to keep track of if you're fighting an Eldrazi deck. It's like tracking how much mana do they have available every single turn, both on your turn and their turn. We care about our turn as well, now that they have access to instant speed cards, which before it was basically just I only get to play stuff on my turn, but now with Kozilek's command, you have to be tracking it to kind of be aware, okay, could they exile one of my creatures? Could they be able to sit here and make a bunch of Eldrazi spawn, or are they just going to be casting one big thing on their turn? 5 mana kind of gives us this weird window of, like, they can't really cast the big things like Devourer of Destiny or you know, any of the Emrakuls or things like that. All this dust is off the table. It's not really that much threats that we got to worry about. So do they take a turn off just to pop a map? Like, do they have another one ring? Are they not feeling threatened so they don't feel like they need to play it now? Like, that's kind of what in this debate. But this is also that debate of, you know, doing the Kozilek's command now at on your turn. Because if you do it now and you make a bunch of mana, all right, which this case you would only make 3 mana, you know, you don't really get to cast anything else off of that. But if you make it on your opponent's turn, right, you could be able to set yourself up. Okay, I'll make 3. Maybe I'll go to my turn and spend my, of course, Ugin's Labyrinth to pop the map. Like, there's a lot of lines that you have to sit here and debate through and go through and try to track how to kind of set up the next stages to kind of lock down and guarantee that you're winning here. But yeah, we see the pass turn here. So looks like the debate is over. Kozilek's command more than likely going to be fired off. And there's a little poke with our Vizier. That's the other thing. It's like Consigned to Memory is a really powerful card, and a lot of players are running them main board if you're running blue, sideboard if you're not, or some variation split between main and side, because of things like the One Ring. Like, being able to counter it is really nice. There's the Kozilek's command. X is 3. Scry. Draw. Make a spawn, which happens to be a Larvitar here. Have you guys been playing the Pokemon TCG app? I got into it. My buddy was like, "Hey, check this out."
There's 8 2CMC guys that look for other cards that find more lands. So a lot of times you keep like just 2 lands in one of those. And
That's why I was like, all right, I'll hit that guy.
Yeah.
It ain't doing
And
much
we're
else.
definitely right to force negation.
All right, Scrying's done. Draw a card. Upkeep will lose 2.
I had a wrap on this guy.
So again, we've drawn 3 cards.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't generate when you run a turn unless you're
Well, I
paying.
mean, it does, but I only have 4 mana.
Right.
I'll mess up a run, dude.
All right, well, we have drawn 6 cards so far. Oh, just kidding. What's the bait? Here's the thing. You got the One Ring. Tap that thing. Unless you're low life and you're really worried about you have no way to deal with whatever threats are on board. But even then, you try to dig for your outs, right? So here we go. 6 cards drawn.
Most people don't know what that card does when it's like that.
It attacks.
All right. Oh, we forgot to put the dice on there. All right, Devour of Destiny. Let's start exiling some threats. Of course, when you cast it, exile target permanent that's 1 or more colors. And it's a 6/6 Eldrazi that you got to be able to fight through now, which is scary. And there's the next One Ring. So, okay. You know, we got through 6 cards before we did our flipperoo. Ah, here's a nice thing. Twiddle. And we're going to tap Trinisphere here. So you might be sitting here and wondering, okay, why? Why would you be... Because Trinisphere is one of those weird cards. Trinisphere is... like... It's one of those cards that is a very specific one that's like, as long as it's untapped, your stuff costs less than 3, costs 3. So when you are sitting here and tapping it off of the Twiddle, you can now start dumping some cards and playing a bunch of things. So we've got Amulet. So we're trying to set up here. We've already lost access to our big mana ramp that we were hoping to go for. You know, Lotus Field is gone. So now we're trying to piece together and try to assemble another line. Now, Vizier is often the main creature, and pretty much the only creature that a lot of these Twiddle style decks run. So we shall see. Let's bring the beats. 6 damage coming across. Of course, we've already got Tron assembled. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana. Again, always trying to keep track of how much mana a Tron player has access to. Another Devour of Destiny. And another Trinisphere, just in case the first one wasn't bad enough. Here's the second one. But part of that is like, oh, you actually have a deck that can work around this with your like tapping effects. So let's try to find the avenue of making sure that I 100% lock you out with these types of effects. All right, we're going to fetch... Get a basic forest here. I do like the forest choice. Cool galaxy one. I need to pick up some more. I was able to get quite a bit, but they're currently in cubes, and so, you know, want to be able to pull some extras there. All right. Oh, Beseju. Gigantha's nice. Oh, just kidding. Couldn't use our Broil Grazer. We needed as many blockers as possible here to try to keep ourselves alive.
Return to dry desert.
Oh, yeah. Hey, remember how that was imprinted at the beginning of the game? Let's just make sure we get the other one there, and we can kind of wrap things up here with this match. A bit of a one-sided one this week, which, you know, sometimes that's how it goes. You know, this is kind of part of Magic, part of Modern. Sometimes your decks don't work out the way that you want them to, and sometimes your opponent just locks you out of the game with Trinispheres with a deck full of 1-mana cards. It is what it is. But we talked about cards that you could do to fight against it, things like Force of Vigor, especially if you're on green. Maybe the kind of hybrid amulet style isn't I don't know, as good for the green. Maybe just stick with the blue-red version. Who knows? Let me know if you've been playing Twiddle Storm and what you feel about it. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Keep an eye out for our Legacy stuff on Saturday, as well as VODs from it coming up in the near future. But again, check out all the cool stuff we got here. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you all next game.